give a brief chronology of events. Our letter was dated 20th March 2024. And it requested the county entity as follows. The committee invites you to appear before it at its meeting scheduled to be held on Tuesday, April 2024 at Shimba, that KCC, that means at 10 a.m. The agenda of the meeting will contain reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the County Executive of Kakamega for the financial years 2020, 21, 22. Two, the committee further requests that on or before 23rd April 2024, 4, the committee requests that on the scheduled day of appearance.
And as I said, for me, there's a distinction between convenience and professionalism. If it's convenience, these senators, my colleagues, can make a decision that is convenient to them, that is convenient to you, and that is convenient to everybody. But if it is a question of professionalism, even I, as a chair, I cannot bend it. In these proceedings, the prosecutor is the Auditor General. And even if you went to court and the prosecutor said he's not ready, the judge will have no option but to grant an opportunity to the prosecutor to be prepared. My only concern is that the lack of preparedness on the part of the prosecutor has been occasioned by you and your team, such that the blame does not lie on the office of the Auditor General. The blame lies in your hands as a CEO. I was around by about 9:30, and I think I must have spotted you along the corridors of these Bunge Towers. When we started our conversation at 9:30, we expected that at least we'll get an opportunity to see those management responses for us to take a decision on whether we can proceed with them or not. 9:30, they were not there. 10 o'clock, when our meeting was supposed to start formally, they were not there. 10:30, when we requested that you be called, they were not there. We have nothing. There's nothing for us to review, to be able to take a decision on whether to proceed or not. If we had those 15 copies at 9:30, perhaps my members would have gone through to see whether they respond to the issues, and we would have had a conversation with the Auditor General to agree whether it's possible to proceed. But in the absence of those responses that you are talking about, as a chair, I am blind. And as a chair, I cannot talk of convenience where I am blind. I think we must now call things the way they are, because the next order I'm going to call you to table your written responses. But if the deliberations have established that those responses, and if you are to table them, they are improperly before us, then I'll be accused of breaching the standing orders and the procedures of the House. I think we now need to have a conversation that brings closure and gives a way forward on this. Senator Sifuna, you had sought the microphone.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'm deeply embarrassed, as you know. In my other capacity, I'm the governor's SG. This is a county that is run by ODM. And basically, governors who have appeared here from my party have brought nothing but pride to us, and the members can bear me witness that documents are presented on time. They are very meticulously prepared. It is very easy to follow the conversation. I am especially concerned, Chair, because I know you follow the national happenings. The ESCC, I don't know if Patrick has joined us. Yes, the ESCC swooped in and went for my deputy party leader, the former governor of Kakamega, alleging certain improprieties there. And I was looking forward to having this conversation so I see where these problems stemming from, because this financial year was also a year when Governor Oparanya was in charge of the county of Kakamega. But Governor, I'm very disappointed as USG that even when the responses were ready 7 days ago, just preparing copies of annexures and sending them in time so that the committee can have a look. If you see our agenda here, is we usually have an in-house briefing with the Auditor General, who takes us through the responses you presented. And we identify the issues that we want to focus on, the ones that are clear, the ones that are not clear, the ones that have been resolved, the ones that have not been resolved. In the absence of that exercise, and you know me, I'm a lawyer, I'm not an expert in finances like you. So I need to be guided by the Auditor General, and that's why the chair is saying that the committee is blind. We depend largely on the Auditor General leading the proceedings of this committee. And in all fairness, if the auditor received their annexures at midnight, I'm the only person on this committee who can comfortably say I was awake at midnight. And not because of Sherehe, Chair. It's because here in Nairobi we have a flood situation, and we are trying to coordinate responses for our people. So I am deeply disappointed that we cannot proceed. Yesterday, your colleague from Isiolo was here. They brought the documents in time. They were here from 9:30. We finished at 5 p.m. yesterday with the county of Isiolo. So, Governor, you have let me down. And I must say you have also let my party out, because now my friends from Kenya Kwanza will be like, Meth is very happy now. Today he has found something to attack me. I thank you, Chair.
Okay, I think before now we start putting labels of orange and yellow on the governors, we deal with the issue before us. And members, it is established when the Auditor General has given reasons similar to the reasons given, it is impossible for the chair to come up with a ruling that is for the convenience of the chair or the convenience of the client. When circumstances arise like that, Governor, this committee and the Senate must reprimand you, because our instructions in that letter were so clear that the committee was not going to accept any record, any evidence filed after the 23rd. The gentleman sitting to our far left sits in the Parliamentary Budget Office. Parliament, in its wisdom, and copying from the US, copying from the UK House of Commons, established a Parliamentary Budget Office, which is staffed by your professional colleagues. We've got accountants, we've got fiscal analysts, we've got people, we've got economists. Their job is to advise Parliament on financial management and economic issues. The Parliamentary Budget Office have no brief today because they have nothing to base their brief on. The Auditor General's brief, everything, and as a chair, they've given me a 35 plus 23, a 35-page update on the year ended 30th, 2021, a 23-page update on the year ended 30th, 2022, and a 5-page update on the received revenue statement. The conclusion in the Auditor General's update is that nothing has been resolved to their satisfaction. Even if we were to proceed, it will be academic, because it will be difficult to agree with you where the Auditor General has not been convinced that evidence has been produced. And that's why I was asking whether you are still a member in good standing, because if it's for respect and honor to the profession, I think you'd be the first person to agree with the office of the Auditor General that under those circumstances, it is difficult to proceed. Members, is there any contrary view to the position we find ourselves? Senator Dulo, you've been around longer, and you and I have made these rulings in the past. Any comments?
No, Chair, I think I agree with my colleagues, because there's no way that you can proceed without auditors looking at the documents and also our office looking at it. So therefore, it's impossible for us to proceed. I think we had Isiolo here yesterday. Though they had their own challenges, this is worse off than the one of Isiolo. I'm sorry to say that.
Now, you must take that seriously, Governor, because Senator Dulo believes that Isiolo is a worse-run county. And if she says that Kakamega is worse, then you have formed a very good impression on Senator Dulo. Senator Mariam Omar, I've not gotten your contribution.
Chair, mine is also, I have the same opinion with the members. Mine is, as a Senate committee, we rely on auditors. In finance also, everything is procedures. Money given to you as a governor, there's accountability you do to the auditors. We oversight on that. So if at all the auditors have not gone through the documents, I don't see as to why we can proceed if you bring the document even right now. Because we are not auditors. We are not auditing the documents. It's just we are going through and see where you have satisfied with an auditors and see the way forward after that. So, Chair, I don't see the way we can proceed as a committee. Thank you.
It has been brought to my attention that the Public Accounts Committee of Kakamega has considered the report of the Auditor General for the 2 financial years ended 30th June 2021 and 30th June 2022. I have a report here which is signed by the Chair, Kevin Mahelo, on 22nd of April 2024. Could you confirm, Chair, whether this has been adopted by the House?
Thank you, Chair. It's true, we've formally adopted the 2 reports in the House, and we received the management responses from the executive on 9th of April this year, and did interrogation and concluded with our report. Thank you.
And the Office of the Auditor General was present during your consideration?
In our consideration, yes, we had what I will call an informal meeting with them, but they were depending on
to the sitting. So our representative went to Kisumu,
the executive, and proceeded on a site visit on various projects, did our
that this was tabled on a certain day, adopted on a certain day, and so on and so forth. Why is your is that the tradition also in Kakamega County?
Chair, there is a forwarding letter that has been shared with the committee secretariat for the same document.
The report itself, you don't demonstrate that.
The stamped report was delivered to the executive as required. And
Chair, you're answering the wrong question. When you table government documents or documents from the National Assembly or from the committee, you hand it over if it's to the clerk, he stamps. The clerk then passes it over if it's to the committee, it's forwarded. After that, then the Control and Auditor General's office. You understand? That is what the question is. Can you explain to us why these papers are just blank? There's no signature, there's no tabling, there's no entry, there's nothing.
Chair, maybe our procedure in Kakamega County might be different from the Senate.
That's why I was asking,
yes.
Chair, what is the tradition?
So our tradition, our committee is established under Standing Order 87. So the moment a report is ready, is forwarded to the person in charge of committee services, the committee services. Once it's signed fully as required, then it's tabled formally in the county assembly. Actually, after forwarding it to the house business as required, then it's scheduled in house business, tabled in the house officially, which we did, then slotted for motion for debate, of which we did. Once it's done, then a formal letter, a formal forward is done to the executive, confirming that the report has formally been adopted by the county assembly. That's what we did.
So, Chair, what we are advising you, because in your absence, for instance, if you are not in this meeting to explain those things, the document should be able to speak for itself. It should have a stamp here that the chair can tell, and we can also tell it was tabled on such and such a day. It was, on the document itself. Because if you just bring me a document like this, and I'm sorry, I'm a very cynical person. I cannot believe people. Because I am sure if I get another, because I've seen reports and things that have been tabled in that same assembly, and they don't look like this. So if the standing orders are different for the PAC committee, you should be telling me.
Order, Chair. Okay. Whereas I respect the contribution by Senator Sifuna, I do not want to put the assembly on the dock because that was not the reason why you came. In fact, I was going to congratulate you because for effort, I would give you an A. What I'm now trying to find out is the involvement of the Auditor General in that conversation, because if it's a conversation between the Assembly and the Executive, and the OAG is not there, and you see, like here, we've got the OAG, we've got Kinoti from EACC, we've got control of budget, we've got National Treasury. It adds value to the conversation. It even helps in coming up with policy or legislative recommendations. It's not just about punishment or finding out who the thieves are. So I was just interested in knowing that when you did the meeting where you went through this report, who else was in the room besides the MCS and the members of the executive?
Chair, it was the executive, members of the Public Accounts Committee, and a representative from the Office of the Auditor General, the three of us. Of course, the internal audit team from the county assembly.
Yeah, because I'm getting worried now. I'm getting worried when I listen to Nabuga here that the Auditor General did not come sufficiently prepared for that meeting, and then we face a similar situation at the Senate. So where is the problem? Is the problem the Office of the Auditor General? Is it the client? Because if the same thing happened at the county assembly, we need to get to the root cause.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry. I would wish to ask the chairman of PAC that there is absolutely no controversy between our office and the executive. He indicated that he doesn't want to engage himself with the controversy between the Office of the Auditor General and the executive. And I want to assure him that there is no controversy whatsoever between the two offices. Number two, I remember that letter came to my desk from the assembly on a Friday, I think at around 3. One, it didn't have any attachment. And two, we had also not, that letter came inviting us, but we had not had a chance to interrogate the client who was going to be interrogating the executive, so that we get, actually when a response is sent to the assembly, it's supposed to be copied to us, so that we look at it independently and go through it with the executive. That did not happen. So that was a Friday at 3. Then documentation came to office at 6:15. I remember very well, in the evening. Everyone else had traveled, but I was informed there is that response. So I had to call an officer over the weekend to go and represent our office, but also indicate that we are not able to move forward with the interrogation because the response came late, 3. The attachments came at 6:15, and it was a Friday. So the officer was supposed to be there on a Monday, if my memory serves me well. And he went and came back and delivered the message. He may have sat there, fine. He may have sat through, but I cannot say that we went there prepared. Thank you, Chair.
Governor, please, make sure your team respects your profession. Your profession is the ISPAC-related one. Your occupation is politics. Unless you want to say your profession now is politics. I believe your occupation is politics, but your profession is a fellow of the Institute of Accountants. If this conversation was happening when you are still chair or a council member of the Institute, I believe you would agree with us that there is need to insist on high professional and ethical standards when it comes to this exercise. As a politician, you might be interested in convenience, but as a professional, we must go back to the basics. The Senate cannot be the prosecutor and the judge. The same way the County Assembly cannot be the prosecutor and the judge. The prosecutor is the OAG. The Senate or the County Assembly sits in a quasi-judicial form. And Chairman, you may want to go back and review, but the House has already adopted your report. But going forward, you may want to review that tripartite arrangement. It is mandatory in any audit sitting. It cannot be two parties, the executive and assembly, in the absence of the Auditor General who raised the issues. I think that is a tradition, not just in Kenya, but in all Westminster-style parliamentary systems, and even the presidential systems. The Auditor General who did the audit leads the conversation, the executive responds, then Parliament takes judicial notice and makes judicial decisions. Let's not do things just to tick a box that there was a meeting. And I think if we were to ignore the Auditor General's concerns now, then Senate will be engaged in an exercise in futility. I was with the Office of the Auditor General in Mombasa this weekend, where we're doing the annual strategic plan. And they want Parliament and County Assembly to adhere to those professional standards. We are not accountants, perhaps Senator Mariam Omar is, but the rest of us are from diverse professions. But we'll do our bit to ensure that we maintain the integrity of the accountancy profession, because we believe that the Office of Auditor General has a capacity. They are bound by certain codes of conduct. They are bound by certain professional responsibilities, which we as politicians cannot ignore, unless we suspect that there could be something malicious going on. Up to now, I am not convinced that there could be malice, but I'm convinced that there's a problem. There must be a problem in terms of communication between your entity and the Office of the Auditor General. We rarely get this kind of situations with other counties, and you must go back and find out where the problem started. Perhaps you might be the problem, because you have said you are reviewing the responses on 25th and 26th, when the window for review and submission had closed on the 23rd. So if we are sending you back home, go back home and do some serious soul searching on the root cause of this inconvenience that we are now suffering. But definitely the improvement between your entity and your professional colleagues in the Office of the Auditor General needs to improve, should not be antagonistic. Even we as senators, we can choose to be adversarial and we can choose to be antagonistic, but many times we choose to be advisors to the county entity. Let's work on that relationship. And OAG, if there's a specific issue you think is a problem in terms of relationship, because I don't think there's a conflict. Perhaps there could just be some issues in terms of relationship and communication. Lay them on the table. We get an assurance from the governor that they'll be addressed, so that when we have another sitting, we will not spend 2 hours on preliminary issues like we have spent today. Senator Methu, and then allow the Auditor General to cite if there are specific challenges, allow the governor to respond, and then we agree on how to proceed.
I want to give the Honorable Chair that it is not directions that you've given, because I don't want us to rule out malice in this particular morning. Because It is not the relationship between the Auditor General and the Governor. The provision of the documents, the 15 copies that we required, 15 of them, has nothing to do with the Auditor General. It has everything to do with the county. It was not done in time. So you not necessarily say that this meeting did not take place just because they did not provide the documents to the Auditor General in time. They also did not bring the documents to the Senate in time. That is, I mean, I don't think it is fair then to rule out malice. The documents the Auditor General were late, the documents the Senate were late. The only thing that was early was the presence of the Governor. Even his review of, as you have rightly put it, he has said in his response that he sat on the 25th and the 26th. But the responses were supposed to get to the Senate and the Auditor General on the 23rd. So even the Governor himself was late to that extent. Maybe finally, I think it is fair because the County Assembly has sat with us in the past. It is fair. I don't want to take the position that has been taken by my senior honorable senators on the merit of debate. First of all, it's fair that we first congratulate them that they have not come to the report they have passed. We struggle with this question every time county assemblies come here. Some have never even looked at 2019, 2020, but to the extent that you've been able to pass a report is something that we need to commend you for. The only issue that you must borrow, and you must borrow heavily from the Senate because you'll be coming here, is that there's no one time that you'll be able to, you are the judges. There's no one time that you should ever be able to be fair if you meet the client without the prosecutor. The report is the report of the Auditor General. Minus the Auditor General, and it's not about the representative just coming. It is a representative helping you in ensuring that they view your work. By the way, just one point I want to make, and you know it, on an issue that the Auditor General has flagged that the county executive has sufficiently addressed, we don't look at it. Because there's a prosecutor. Once they say that that issue, we just cross over it.
Yeah, Senator Meth was prepared for this meeting, and he was prepared to talk. So he had to talk even if he was repeating what had already said. But that tells me we were ready to proceed. Auditor General, what are the challenges which we must address with the Governor so that we do not have a repetition of the same?
Before the director makes his comments, please allow me to advise the County Assembly that it will appear when they prepare the meeting to go to Kisumu, which again Kisumu is away from Kakamega, and you can see the letter came late. We will have expected, even before they went for the report writing, they would have invited our office to attend the sittings at the Assembly chambers to interrogate the report of OAG. Then that will have informed our participation to go to Kisumu to do the report writing. You can see the director was away, and then the officer he sent may not have been involved in the interrogation of the report in the committee room in Kakamega. So it is clear the officer went to Kisumu, went unprepared. So
Kisumu was report writing or it was a hearing?
It was interrogation.
It was interrogation?
Yes.
The executive was there?
Yes, because the executive were also engaged in other activities in Kisumu, so we thought it's better if we just proceeded to Kisumu so that we have a whole meeting together.
Yeah, I've said we do not supervise the county assembly. We do not direct the county assembly because you've been elected and you've got a mandate on primary oversight. The only thing we encourage you to do is to adopt best practice, because if you do so, the outcomes will be better. And I think in our experience with the Office of the Auditor General, if you give them adequate notice, they respond. And the meetings should never be at the convenience of the executive. It must be at the convenience of the three parties involved: the assembly, the OAG, and the executive. So, yeah, Patrick, I was just responding quickly to that. Anything else?
Chair, you have really summarized the issue, and I'm happy. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. So, with regards to the executive?
Thank you, Chair. I want to confirm that we really do not have any problems. The only problem I can cite here is either lack of communication or delayed communication, and then delayed submission of documents or lack thereof. I remember when the letter came out, the invitation letter, I am the one who took the initiative and took phone call, made a phone call to the CEC Finance to initiate the interaction. They are not the ones who called us. So I think that is the only place, that's the only challenge we have. Otherwise, we have no problems with the executive. In previous meetings we have held, we have even sat with the governor. This last one we did not sit with the governor, but in previous meetings I can confirm that we have sat with the governor as much as possible. So I think if that can improve, we have no problem.